First of all, if you're seeing this on clips, just heads up that I did not have an editor when I recorded my offline video about Alex Preddy. And actually I'm glad that didn't happen because I was too angry in it and whatever. I gave my thoughts on Lemonade Stand and they came out today and I hope you check it out. I hope you check it out because I used my presentation for that. With regards to what's happening today with Jerome Powell, here's the brief primer that you need to know. Jerome Powell is almost done. RIP. Sad to see our soldier go. And if you don't remember, it's because so much damn news has happened in January. Literally, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, U.S. prosecutors investigated him as part of an attempt to get him to force him to lower interest rates, which he put out that 2-minute amazing video, kind of shutting the whole thing down, punch in the mouth. Trump kind of tacoed back down. That was the context going in. I was like, holy shit, what's going to happen? What is he going to do today? Because he's been now put under pressure by a criminal probe. Secondly, in these 2 weeks, gold has surged insanely, like almost vertical, and then actually vertical, silver. Precious metals are going crazy. The US dollar versus the Swiss franc is collapsing. Okay, we're seeing a real weakness in the dollar, which risks high inflation. As the value of your currency gets a lot weaker, the cost of things will go up. Consumer confidence has hit lows not seen since before COVID. As in, the most recent reading is lower than the depths of COVID. People are less confident now than they were in the beginning of 2020. It is a bad situation on consumer confidence. Additionally, if you plot this with the stock market, which is only owned by the top 10% or 90% of the stock is only owned by the top 10%, you literally get a K-shaped economy. Literally. I mean, if you plot them side by side, consumer confidence is collapsing while stock market rises. You are literally getting it, okay? The people that own the stocks are feeling quite good. People that don't are feeling more and more desperate. It's a tough situation for Jerome Powell today. Jerome Powell is really torn on his dual mandate. He has two men he wants to date. It's called raising interest rates and lowering interest rates, and he can't pick. Remember, if he raises interest rates, he thinks the biggest problem is inflation, which is a big problem. If he lowers them, he thinks the biggest problem is jobs, which is a big problem. U.S. long-term unemployment is at a 4-year high. People are reporting it is increasingly longer and longer to find a job, especially one that fits their degree or things they want to do. It's getting harder and harder. There's deepening concerns about the hiring market. Additionally, if you choose to lower interest rates, it is kind of seen as giving in to Trump, who again is trying to criminally pressure you into doing that. Donald Trump has been very clear.
I've been saying, let's get interest rates down. Nobody ever gets rich when the interest rates are high because people can't borrow money.
Nobody gets rich if you can't borrow money. Donald J. Trump. He wants borrowing to be cheap to try and juice the economy. And so all of this cycled into what we heard about 30 minutes ago when Jerome Powell said, fuck it, bro. This is too hard. He decided to do nothing. He's not raising them. He's not lowering them. They're holding them steady. It's a wait and see. Trump, obviously, probably pissed about this, probably going to tweet or Truth Social today how angry he is at Too Late Powell for not getting interest rates down. Now, big thing before we jump into the conference, we're going to watch it. The big thing, who is next? There's been this big celebrity apprentice style hunt for the next Jerome Powell, the next Fed chair. Who is Trump going to pick? There's now 4 candidates. And the problem is none of them are exactly what Trump wants. They all have little flaws that don't make them the perfect Trump advocate. Here's the problem on Trump's side. He could literally pick Barron Trump or something to do it and know that person's going to lower interest rates. But the problem is he has to balance the fact that he wants them to do exactly what he says, but he also wants them to be trusted. They have to have trust. The market has to trust them that they're doing the right thing. And then the right thing has to be lowering interest rates. So he has to balance this impossible goal. And he's mentioned how difficult this is for him because every one of these candidates will say the right thing to him in meetings, but he's sneakily convinced they're going to actually do the smart thing once they're in power.
And I'll be announcing a new Fed chairman in the not too distant future. I think he'll do a very good job. They're all great. Everyone that I interviewed is great. Everyone could do, I think, a fantastic job. Problem is they change once they get the job. They do. You know, they're saying everything I want to hear, and then they get the job. They're locked in for 6 years. They get the job, and All of a sudden, let's raise rates a little bit. I call him, sir, we'd rather not talk about this. It's amazing how people change once they have the job.
He's talking about him like an ex-lover. It's crazy how they change. Bro, their whole job is to be credibly independent and do the smart thing, which means sometimes they'll have to raise rates. But he's like jilted about it. So anyway, the guy that was the front runner, the guy that I've been talking about, Kevin Hassett, this guy right here, the guy's been all over Fox News glazing Trump. He went from 86% chance down to 6.8 because apparently Trump thinks he's gonna switch up. He's just saying the right things, but he's gonna switch up once he gets in. And the current leader right now is Rick Ryder. Rick Ryder of BlackRock, baby. He's got the open collar shirt. He's got the Apple Watch. Rick Ryder of BlackRock. By the way, it's funny to see Scott Bessent is in the top 5 as his 9th job. As his 9th job in the administration, Scott Bessent is top 5. But Rick Ryder's currently leading. Rick Ryder has been on Fox News. He's from BlackRock. He does have deep knowledge of the bond market and theoretically could do this job. But for some reason, Trump thinks this guy is going to be the one to lower interest rates and do what he says. Now, it is interesting because I looked into Rick Ryder. Rick Ryder, at least based on his donations, has actually been kind of a never Trumper. I'm surprised if he picks this guy. Also, yeah, it's just a bad look to be like, we need to get housing prices down. Let's get the guy from BlackRock. Just for his base or anyone. Nobody likes BlackRock. It's a bad look on that front. But however, Rick Ryder has donated to Jeb Bush against Trump the first time. He donated to Pete Buttigieg, and he donated to Nikki Haley, which he challenged Trump in 2023. So he seems like he's like a guy that's not 100% aligned with Trump, but he maybe just wants to get interest rates down for his own financial benefit. So anyway, we'll see. That being said, that's the context you need going in. I want to hear what Jerome Powell has to say about what's going on with Trump, what's going to go on with his next successor, and what's going on with the economy. So let's watch that right now. It is basically live.
My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment
Somebody
and
just
stable
want to bet.
prices for the benefit of the American people. While job gains have remained low, the unemployment rate has shown some signs of stabilization, and inflation remains somewhat elevated.
That's some weasel words, Jerome. The job gains are low, but there's some signs of stabilization. That's not what people are feeling, but.
We see the current stance of monetary policy as appropriate to promote progress toward both our maximum employment and 2% inflation goals.
I mean, translation is we're scared to death in both directions, bro. Jobs are not looking good. Inflation's not looking good. We got to wait and see.
Job gains have remained low. Total non-farm payrolls declined at an average pace of 22,000 per month over the last 3 months.
On the statistics front, I guess he's all right. But it's just so clear, right? Job gains are essentially zero. Okay, so it's a no hire economy. And then people are getting fired. It's not massive layoffs, but like that means it's steadily trickling up. As in there's not new good jobs and the old ones are being shut down. Amazon today announced like 11,000 white collar good job firings. And that's a company that's doing well. Amazon is a company that is doing well in this economy. 16,000. I undercut by 5,000. There's no indication at all that there is some surge in like good job growth or any job growth, but especially good job growth. The only sector seeing job growth is healthcare. If you're trying to be a nurse, you can find a job. If you're trying to be caring for elderly people, you can find a job. Those are growing, but like that's not, we can't transition our entire, well, maybe we are transitioning our entire company to caring for elderly people, but what else? What else is growing? And I guess honestly, I think fucking economic pressure is pushing a lot of people to join fucking ICE because it's the only one offering signing bonuses, which is a great use of our government money. I'm glad we're throwing more money at that. So that I'm not kidding. Like, there's like not many things that are growing.
Inflation has eased significantly from its highs in mid-2022, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer run goal. Estimates based on the Consumer Price Index indicate that total PCE prices rose.
I want to pause here again. Consumer Price Index, I don't think it's fraudulent or anything. I don't think anything's wrong with that, but it only measures basic consumer goods. And where we're seeing the real inflation, where we're seeing the real devaluing of your currency is the ability of your dollar to buy hard assets. You can't buy housing, you can't buy gold, you can't buy land, your paycheck in oil and barrels of oil is down. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are where you're seeing the inflation and the devaluation of your currency the most. It's happening elsewhere, but that is where you're seeing it the most. So this doesn't accurately reflect the fact that people are feeling like they can't buy enough with their paycheck. Like they are feeling it's falling behind. Their real wage growth doesn't feel to be there because maybe you can buy more TVs or toys or some consumer goods, but you cannot buy healthcare, you cannot buy childcare, you can't buy college education. All these things are outpacing the increase. So that is inflation, and it's not measured in the CPI.
This normalization of our policy stance should help stabilize the labor market while allowing inflation to resume its downward trend toward 2%, once the effects of tariff increases have passed through.
It's so funny. He keeps talking about tariff increases like it was a one-time thing in April. We figured it out. But like, just we all know Trump, dude. We had a deal with Korea and he tossed it out and threw another fucking 25%. There's new tariffs all the damn time. We just have a new tariff on Canada. There's supposed to be a deal there. And plus there could be a Supreme Court ruling that could change all that. The idea that the tariff is a fixed thing that as a pass-through effect on inflation and then it's done is not reflected by his actions.
Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Damn, what a presentation.
I wanted to ask that, you attended the Supreme Court hearing last week on the Lisa Cook case, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent criticized that as political. Can you say why you attended and what you would say in response to the Secretary's criticism?
Just a little context. Lisa Cook is one of the Fed governors who votes on whether to raise or lower interest rates. As part of, he leads the Federal Reserve, but they all vote. And she is also under investigation with political pressure from Trump. They tried to accuse her of mortgage fraud to try and get her out. Again, they're trying to staff there's 12 people that vote. They're trying to staff it with as many Trump supporters as possible so they can always win the vote to lower interest rates. That's the idea. Okay, I made a video about this in the past. You can check it out, including where we found out that in fact the mortgage fraud being accused had been committed by Bill Pulte, his parents, like Scott Bessent's family, like people all around that are accusing her had done the exact mortgage fraud.
I will tell you why I attended. I would say that case is perhaps the most important legal case in the Fed's 113-year history. And as I thought about it, I thought it might be hard to explain why I didn't attend. In addition, Paul Volcker went to a Supreme Court case famously, and I guess in 1985 or so. So it's precedented, and I thought it was an appropriate thing, and I did it.
Chair Powell, you've generally avoided engaging with political controversies directly, and the video statement on January 11th was a departure. What made this different, and are you concerned it could draw the institution further into political debates?
So today on I'm simply going to refer you to the statement that I made on January 11. I'm not going to expand on it or repeat it. So I'm just not going to. This is really about the press conference and the economy and what we did today, and some ancillary areas, but I'm not going to be getting into that.
Can you say whether the Fed has responded to the subpoenas?
I have nothing for you on that today.
Mike.
I gotta say, I do like his aura around political questions. He's like doesn't get baited. Like, this has been a few years of us watching this now, at least a year and a half. And they always try, and he's always been very simple answers. No, here's what I'll say. Statements are always clean. I respect that because they would love to make it messy. And the messier it is, the better it is for Trump, who can then find little things to pick apart. When he keeps it clean and straightforward into the facts, I think it works better.
Chair Powell, after today, you have 2 meetings left as Fed chair. You've obviously experienced a lot during your time as Fed chair, served under multiple presidents. I'm wondering what advice you have for whoever your successor might be.
Okay. Come on, Powell. Give us
Honestly, I'd say a couple of things. One is, stay out of elected politics. Don't get pulled into elected politics. Don't do it. And that's another thing.
Have you made a decision on whether you would remain as a governor of the Federal Reserve? If so, would you tell us what it is? And if not, when might we anticipate a decision?
No, and I really, once again, have nothing for you on that today. That either.
Okay, I want to explain the context of this question, too, so you can understand. So Jerome Powell is going to be stepping down in May. That's the end of his term. However, he has the right and the ability to stay on as one of the 12 voting governors. And by the way, his vote carries a lot of weight. People respect him. He's been the chair for a long time. If he's in the argument and he's like, hey, I think we should raise interest rates or whatever, it could have a powerful effect. People even say he could be a shadow Fed chair, which is kind of like a badass thing that exists. He could be the shadow chair where he's not the one up here giving conferences, but his word has so much weight that he's the one dictating what. So there's a chance of that happening. Now, theoretically, I think the unwritten rule, the unspoken rule, is that he's supposed to step down and leave. But he could stay on, and he hasn't decided yet. Now, this is unprecedented times, and maybe he should stay on. I think maybe his voice would be a good counterbalance to what Trump is trying to do. But, in normal times, he should probably step down and leave.
Some officials have described the Fed being in a mode of bringing it down eventually over time. Are you still in that mode, or is this a place to hang out?
Yeah. Why do they ask these fucking questions? My God, he's always going to say, you know what, we're going to take it as it comes. We're going to be data dependent. Why are they always trying to get him to say, this is what it's going to be by the end of the year? He's not going to tell you that. He's never going to tell you that. Of course he's not going to tell you that, because they have to wait for the data to come in. The questions piss me off in these things the more I watch them. Bro, I just ask some real questions.
Given the changes in the statement and all you've said so far, is it fair to describe risks to both sides of the Band-Aid as roughly balanced right now? And is the next move necessarily down?
How are you going to ask the same question as the other guy? Bro, he can't tell you the next move is necessarily down. He can't tell you that. He can't tell you what the next meeting's announcement is going to be in this meeting. Bro, I feel for you, Jerome. Look at his fucking face. You gotta get out there every fucking time and answer the same question. He's vexed. He's Dark Jerome.
Global investors were hedging their dollar exposures in ways that previously they hadn't because of policy uncertainty. Do you agree with BIS?
We really don't see much at all about that whole story. There's just not a lot of data that suggests that there's much to that.
Sorry,
Thanks.
what? There's not a lot of data that people are hedging their dollar exposure. Look at global stocks ex-US fucking surging. Look at gold surging. Look at silver surging. Look at all current, Swiss franc currency surging. I think there's a lot of evidence that that's happening.
I wanted to ask, you've talked in the past about concerns about the U.S. fiscal trajectory, and we've seen in the Japanese bond market a lot of turmoil recently, in part due to concerns over their fiscal and long-term economic outlook.
Yeah.
So do you worry that the U.S. could at some point find itself in a similar situation to Japan, whether for fiscal or demographic reasons?
I'm surprised he's answering. This is a great question. This is what's happening with Japan right now. Their borrowing costs are going fucking hockey stick up. People don't trust them. They don't think they can pay it back. That's insane. Demographics are terrible. They're doing a bunch of stimulus.
It's more of an overtime thing. The U.S. federal budget deficit is, uncontroversially on an unsustainable path.
Yeah.
The level of debt is not unsustainable. It's very much sustainable, but the path is unsustainable.
Yeah.
And the sooner we work on it, the better. But right now we're running a very large deficit at essentially full employment. And so the fiscal picture needs to be addressed, and it's not really being addressed. So that's important. I'm not in any way connecting it to some sort of near-term market event, but ultimately it's something we'll have to deal with. And that, in the end game, that's where you wind up, is in some kind of a difficult thing. But that's not where we are. It's not where Japan is either. But it's certainly not where we are right now.
It is where Japan is. He knows it. He kind of backtracked a bit. Yeah, it's the end game. Yeah, Japan is the canary in the coal mine. Japan's in the end game, and we can't get there. But he doesn't sound confident that we're going to get off this fucking fiscal path of spending massive deficits.
A Republican Senator, Tom Tillis, who sits on the Senate Banking Committee, said he will block any Fed nominee, including the chair, until this investigation into you is resolved. Do you support this move by the senator, and what conversations have you had with the senator?
I've got nothing for you on that.
More broadly, what would happen to American households if the Federal Reserve loses its ability to operate independent from politics?
So really, the point of independence is not to protect policymakers or anything like that. It just is that every advanced economy democracy in the world has come around to this common practice. It's just an institutional arrangement that has served the people well, and that is to have a separation between, to not have direct elected official control over the setting of monetary policy. And the reason is that monetary policy can be used, through an election cycle to affect the economy in a way that will be politically worthwhile. So this isn't, I'm not talking about the U.S. context. This is every advanced economy democracy of any size. So it's a good practice. It's pretty much everywhere among countries that look at all like the United States.
She kind of, someone said it. She kind of did a good trick there. She started with an impossible question to answer and then hit him with a follow-up that was like just enough that he answered. She lowered it down just into the right range. Very well done. Very bad cop, kind of bad cop. Anyway, yeah, I mean, his answer is real. The reason you keep the central bank independent is because politicians will use it to help their popularity and not necessarily do the right thing. And lowering rates help their popularity, so they'll always want to do that. That's why they have to be independent.
Than the kind of strong growth outlook or strengthening growth outlook you're now seeing. How much of that is the fiscal stimulus we're seeing from the beautiful bill, the tax cuts, and all of that?
Well, essentially, the economy has once again surprised us with its strength, not for the first time. And, consumer spending, although it's uneven across income categories, but consumer spending.
That is such a polite way to put it. Listen, I don't blame him for these problems. Jerome Powell didn't fucking create these problems. Saying it's uneven across income categories is such a funny way to say it's all rich people. It's rich people and people on debt. That is what is spending. Where consumer spending is up, especially because his data is the data he's reading is like not from January right now. It's from like December. It's like last quarter. And, holiday season, people did spend like fucking crazy. Actually, it was kind of flat, but they spent enough to keep things going. And it was through top end of the K and debt.
The economy overall, the growth is on a solid footing. It looks like, and it's not just those things. It's just the consumer is filling out surveys that sound really negative and then spending. So there's been a disconnect for
on debt. They are screaming that they can't keep up with the cost of their lifestyle, and then in order to do that, they are borrowing. Okay, and those two things fully explain what you're talking about. It's not like some magical, we don't get it. They're saying they're really, really, really mad about the economy, but they're still spending money. Yeah, they have to spend money.
The conversation around the table with your colleagues about how wealthier consumers seem to be driving so much of the economy.
Good question!
And why so many families still...
What's her name? This is a banger question. First banger question of the day. Christine Romans of NBC News. Interesting.
Driving so much of the economy, and why so many families still feel like they just can't make ends meet after 5 years of rising prices. What is that discussion like?
So a couple things. One, there's something to it in that we know that higher income households that tend to own real estate and tend to own stocks, securities.
They do.
And those assets have been going up in value, and increases in wealth do support spending over time. So, and that's clearly a part of the story.
Yeah.
We also know that for some time now, for a year or more, we've been hearing from retailers, for example, that serve lower income customers, whether it be food or the big box stores or anything. They're saying the same thing, which is our consumers are looking to economize. They're trading down from brands, and they're buying less, and it's changing their buying habits and that kind of thing. So we're seeing that, and that is a reality of what we're seeing. They're still consuming, but
just toss your hands up. I don't know. I mean, people are still buying shit. Yeah, I don't know. I'm seeing all this data that says rich people are the ones with all the money. They're buying everything. And regular people are trading down from fucking McDonald's to bologna sandwiches. And I don't know, but they're still buying bologna.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Jennifer Schonberger with Yahoo Finance. Was there...
Dude, Jennifer Schonberger. So she had a question in one of our previous reacts that was fire, and we gave her question of the day or whatever. And then someone sent me that she also is a musical artist. She does like financial news, and then also art. She has like an album. Jennifer Schonberger has an album, and then also does part-time financial journalism for Yahoo. It's like she's a Renaissance woman. Let's play her track. Dude, look how crazy this is. Let's listen to Saturday Night. Now imagine that, and then listen to this question.
as to what the Atlanta Fed is predicting at a time when you had a government shutdown and we thought that was going to shave off some growth.
Dude, how crazy is that? Wait, I gotta listen to your question. I was memeing. That sounds like a good question. What was the question again?
The government shutdown and we thought that was going to shave off some growth. You've also got the fiscal tailwinds. You've talked about big tax refunds coming, potential tariff dividend. How could you cut rates and not spur inflation in that environment?
Good question. Good question.
Well, we didn't cut rates today, but it depends on how fast potential output is growing, right? I'm just asking in principle. I'm not saying this is what's happening, but there's growth.
It is a funny response. It's like her question was written assuming they would cut rates today.
How do you explain the divide right now between strong economic growth and the job market? Is it productivity that's filling the gap? And is productivity being driven by AI at this point?
So I would say we do see signs of certainly of the unemployment rate stabilizing. So it may be we're seeing the beginning of the resolution of those two things. Also, as you probably know, the lore is that when GDP and the labor market get into an argument, in the end, the labor market data is more reliable. GDP data is just very hard to collect and understand.
Damn, here with the lore. And he also with some fucking true facts from the lore, which is that if the GDP, which looks like things are all good, and the labor market, which is like, whoa, this is kind of weak, get into an argument, the labor market generally wins because it's more honest, it's more accurate. GDP data is very, I'm not patriarching here, but I think I have a video where I crashed out at a Reddit post like 2 years ago, and I went through all of the GDP numbers from 2007 and what they originally were and what they got revised to, because it looked like we were in a fucking boom time. It turned out to be the Great Recession. Like, if you go through the numbers in 08, 09, it's like the GDP prints at 4%. Oh, revised down to 2. Oh, revised down to -1. Oh, revised down to -3. It's like, bro, like, this has already happened multiple times. So the idea that you can go, oh, GDP's good, that's it, is insane. It's an insane thing to say. And so I'm glad that Powell said this, because it's true. Like, you trust the labor market more. People's real experience about whether or not they're finding jobs is a better indicator of whether the economy's healthy than the GDP number.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Damn, that was a longer one than usual, but he's going to be gone so soon. Every minute we get with Jerome on this collective mandate that we're all along with him. My dream one day to interview Jerome Powell on Lemonade Stand, and it's me, Doug, Aiden, and Jerome Powell at a restaurant, and we're in 2 tables, and it's a literal dual mandate. That's my dream. Very interesting FOMC meeting. They did hold rates steady, which was, that's a choice. Definitely interesting that he held steady. I know Trump's pissed. The biggest thing I'm happy about is that Trump's pissed about it. Just, I know Trump's cooking up a Truth Social today about how fucking mad he's at Jerome Powell for not cutting. Again, the midterms are tick-tock this fucking year. They're coming up. And it takes time, even if you cut rates, for that to trickle out into the economy, to juice it in the short term. And Trump would very much like to cut rates to the bone. He would like it to be 1% right now. It's more like 3.75. He would like to cut it to the bone so that he could try to juice it by the time midterms roll around. So every month or every 2 months we don't have this meeting and we don't cut it down is less time he has to do that. Even if he gets the fucking perfect puppet in May, they can't do they can't do a double jumbo rate cut. They're going to cut maximum 0.5 point each time. So I think it'll be too late. I guess never say never. It would not surprise me if literally Trump in a mustache is the Federal Reserve guy. He comes in and cuts fucking 3%. I would not like that. Nothing can surprise me anymore. Nothing surprises me anymore, but that would be something.